And if we don't like it, then we need to think about how come we're co-creating it this way. You know, it's not like something outside of us is doing all of this stuff and we're victims of it. If we're being concerned about something, you know, then it's something that's within us that we are creating with other people, and it's like, okay, somehow we have to own that, or we can't do a thing about it. You know, when the youngsters would come charging in to talk to an old man or an old woman about they gotta fix something in their community, you know, they gotta do it. They got all that youthful zim, and they've got this righteous indignation, and they're just wound up, and of course they're looking at a real problem potentially. But the old man, you know, the old woman, they'd sit there and draw circles in the dirt, and they draw one, draw a big circle. And say, this is the community. You can't change the community. And they draw a little circle. Says, this is your family. You can't change your family. And they draw one in the center. Says, this is you, right here in the middle. Looks like a target, you know. Says, you want to change? Change yourself first. Change yourself first. And when you've changed yourself, then you can work on changing your family. And when you've changed your family, then you can work on changing your community. But you can't jump from not doing anything about your own behavior and your own beliefs and your own spirituality and leap to the community and figure you're going to fix it all. That isn't going to happen. And I think that's the heart. I think, you know, if we see something that's bothering us, the first place we need to look at what's going on in here. Because right off the bat, I'm making judgments about what's good and bad. That's step one. Otherwise, I'm not being, why would I be distressed? You know? And I have the feeling that I think a lot of light workers want to change the community without changing themselves. My observation. I don't want to make a blanket statement about every single person I've ever met that's a light worker or helper of some kind. But there are a lot of people who just don't want the responsibility for changing themselves.
What continuing from what you said, Kisitwa, so I'm thinking about it in my own life also. I think it is a wonderful thing that when we are children and youth, it's very necessary for children and youth to have that desire to change anything that they feel is not right. That's what gives that fire. And sometimes they want to change something in their own circumstances of their own life, in which case, yes, definitely you have to work on your own self. Sometimes they see something outside, not happening to them, but to others, which is actually compassion. You see someone else being hit. You see your servants, like if you're in India and places like that where we have not being well treated by the older generation. You see the daughters-in-law not being treated well, or boys just being forced to think of themselves only as money earners. And so you want to change something in the community. And that is when we have to develop our own skills, how to change what doesn't want to be changed. Because yes, definitely, like you said, community, it's very difficult to change. And you can't change the family that you were born to. But going back to the first one, if somebody is distressed about something about their own life, and they find that they cannot make a change in wherever they are because they don't have the skills or the tools or the power, then it helps to move away. Because I think all of us have come to do something in this world, in this life. And it may be within the situation where you were born, and you'll do your work there for some time, maybe as a child or maybe as a youth, you do your work for your family. And then you're able to live wherever you want to in the way that you want, that wherever you feel you can be, you can make a difference. I think both things are something to consider.
I understand that, but it also makes the assumption that there are things outside of myself, and outside of you, and outside of, in other words, some external reality that has nothing to do with my creativity or your creativity or anybody else's creativity. See, and I don't believe
I don't either.
that.
Which is why you co-create by going, if you feel this whole world is there for you, you place yourself wherever you feel you will be of value.
Or
And
in the
you
case of
don't
many
have to
people,
burn
wherever
bridges.
they feel is safe.
Sorry? No, we can't, I cannot judge why people may move from one place to the other. That's why I feel it's very important in these discussions to talk from our own life. Because I feel that the people who come to these meetings will be people who do work on themselves and are people who have co-created their life and are aware of it. And it's important for us to share from our own experience.
I don't disagree with that.
I know.
You know I don't.
Teresita, what do you want to say? Teresita.
I'm just listening. I'm listening both points of view. I'm observing now.
I was talking to one of our friends yesterday, and he said, "Well, I've said before, you know, I've learned not to see people as broken. I see them as whole and complete." And he said, "Well, why can't you see the Mother Earth that way?" And I thought that's a very interesting point of view. Why is it that it's okay to see that you're fine, you're just perfect the way you are, there's no problem there? You may not believe that, but that has nothing to do with the reality of your perfection. And then when we jump to the Mother Earth, all of a sudden there's all these problems. And how is that fundamentally different in kind than saying the individual you're trying to help has got all of these problems, as opposed to being perfect or fine the way they are? And I'm still wrestling with the answer to that question. Okay? Because it's very easy to see what's wrong. You know, if you want to see what's wrong, it's really simple. But that requires that you judge it that way.
Well, if we're thinking in terms of right and wrong, then we are thinking of them as opposing one another. But if we are thinking in terms of what is the essence of that person, and so what we are calling wrong is what is just covering that essence, then all we are helping is to help that person to see it also, because that's why he came to us. He came to you because he or she saw something and knows that they are not being in their essence, and has asked your help in removing what is not real.
Right. I agree with that.
I like that because you talked about the target in the center. So in that sense, that's what you're doing. You're just removing, because if I think of that the community is not me, then I'm separating myself from what in essence is me. And it's the same with, so even if physically I move away, I cannot move away totally from the birth family, because they are in my DNA. I mean, we share DNA and so many other things. And then it's actually, because I was reading once that all of us have the same, have the DNA, all of us are children of the same, of one mother whom they have managed to find in Africa, and they called her Eve. So we really are, as the Native Americans, the Indians and everyone tell us, we really are one family. So we are actually never moving away from family. We're just expanding our community if we move.
The thing, part of the issue for me is, you know, I walk the inward path, and on that path, cause is always internal, always. There's never an external. The effect is external, but the cause is always internal. And I know that, you know, that's not everybody's path. That's my path. We talk about doing how our lives are. And so it's always the question, if something is disturbing me, something's ruffling my peace of mind, my contentment, my whatever, you know, then the question is, what haven't I healed that I'm distressed by that? That's why I keep saying anybody who gets under my skin is my teacher, and I respect them for that. I have great respect for them for that. It's not easy to get under my skin. I've had years of practice of maintaining my serenity in spite of what other people want to do. And not everybody perceives their own path in that way. You know, we all have different ways. And from native point of view, there's at least 7 paths, and those are general paths. And the fact that I follow an inward path has certain implications about dealing with stuff like this. And one of them is there's never an external cause. The cause is always internal, always in here. We create our own reality.
I wanted to share something that happened recently, and maybe it will help all of us to share something from our experience where we were able to see our own reactions and our responses. Like I saw a little lizard in my bathroom, and my first reaction to lizards is one of it's not fear, but in a way, yes, it's fear, because, and then I stopped myself and I'm saying, all this work that you feel you've done in your life, what value is it if you, who is 5 feet something tall, are so scared of a tiny little being? So what is this fear? What are you scared of? And so the small Minakshi, I'll call her, said, I'm scared that she will leap at me. She'll jump at me. So if she jumps at you, what does it matter? She's a tiny little being, and she was very upright, and she looked intelligent and bright, but she wasn't moving. I said, if I'm scared of her, imagine how scared she is of me. Since she was not moving, I said, maybe she's paralyzed with fear. Maybe she's watching me. I don't know what she's feeling, but she's not moving. Tavita's joining us. And so I just decided, no, let me first face my fear. Hello, Tavita. We'll wait for her to join. And Lilium is joining. Tavita. So I scold myself and I say, you know, what is all this that you have done, that you're still being so scared? But I don't mind my fear, because I think it's teaching me something about myself. I'm at peace with my fear. I no longer am chiding myself for having the fear. I'm just chiding myself from feeling it for that tiny little being and not doing anything about it. So then I took something, a pan, in which because I don't have the courage to pick her up from my hands, and I value, and I accepted that. I picked her up, and she allowed me to pick her up in a pan and took her out. So I felt this is beautiful, because at any time that we have fear, we also have that confidence that there isn't a need for fear. And all this, the clearing that you were talking about, Kisitua, when people come to us for help with something they feel is wrong, then we know it's wrong. I knew that feeling that fear in this situation is wrong. So all I had to do was just to brush it away by having this self-conversation.
Exactly.
Tavita, welcome. What we're doing this time is, and Lilium also, we are sharing stories of whatever story you want to share about your own life, your own experiences, and how you feel that you can change your own reality to come more to your essence, you know, something like that. Anything you feel from we feel from our own lives that might help someone else. Or if you want to guide a meditation, anything that you want to do. See, co-create your own experience here. I think Tavita's camera is frozen.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, when we do Reiki, and I think all of us are Reiki here, we are always taught that we should have an intention. And when you have the intention, when you have a certain intention, then you are able to bring it about. You're able to manifest it. It's like having a goal, and so you have goal-oriented behavior, and then you know when that intention is satisfied. And I think it's important to have intention because it helps us to feel gratitude. When you have a wish and you turn it into an intention, and as we studied it, that's how what I learned from Hoop Reiki was you make it into a prayer. And then you give gratitude. You immediately feel that thankfulness. And that feeling of gratitude and thankfulness is not because someone out there is waiting for me to say thank you to them. It's how you feel yourself when you feel gratitude. You feel that sense that this world is meant for me. So gratitude is therefore, that's the beauty of the energy of gratitude. But there's another higher calling, and that is not to have an intention. Instead of having an intention, just have gratitude. So you start with gratitude. And that is something that the message that was given to me by Eli, who was actually Swami Shraddhananda, but he called himself Eli. And he said that all we have to do every day is just give thanks to Mother Earth for everything that she gives us. And just do this practice once a day, but do this every day for some time. Just like we have so many other things that we do, we have a time to drink coffee, we have a time to do so many things. We don't mind having set time for many things. Also have a set time just to give thanks to Mother Earth and all beings. So that practice really has helped me a lot, both the practice of having an intention and the practice of not having an intention and just going with gratitude. Welcome, David. I'm happy you've joined us. If you would like to speak something, we'd like to hear from you. If anyone wants to speak at any time, they can raise their hands through the reaction, but you know, there's a reaction right below, and or they can just unmute themselves and talk. Tavita, would you like to say something?
I made it. My computer, I'm over at my sister's and my computer was completely messed up, so I had to have help opening it. I couldn't do it on the phone. I'm learning. Anyway, thank you. I'm good. I think the only thing I have to say is I feel we're entering a new phase, and I think having a good intention and tapping into that intention maybe 7 times a day, whenever you can, is really, really helpful. And realizing that a lot of people were ready for change, and we go through this to get there, but keeping, Meenakshi, as you said, keeping the vision of what you'd like to see, which is people coming together and in different ways. And having talked with my sister last night, I think she's on a plan of, you know, perhaps how things might work in the States and ideas, you know, the integration of sharing resources and everything else. So it's good. Education, so on. Pass it back to you. Don't know why I'm on there twice.
Yeah. So what I think we could do now, if each of us can think of one intention for this world, because just before we started the Zoom, I just want to give a tiny little introduction to that. And I was saying that most of us on this platform, we feel that, or we will say that this world is perfect the way it is. It's made for everyone, and everything's good. But we don't fully, the mind does not fully accept it, and that's a fact. The body doesn't fully accept it. And so staying in this level where we feel that this world can actually very clearly show itself in its real essence, and all these clouds which are hiding the essence go away. I would like us to, each of us, to please share an intention, and in an affirmative way, you know. So I can say, I see this world as in which there's clean water for everyone. Something very, very simple, and something that we can later see, or anything that comes to your mind. And if someone doesn't want to say it, you can also write it in the chat. But please, everyone, when I call your name, please either say it aloud or write it in the chat. So I'll start with Teresita.
My intention today is not having intention. I don't have any intention. I just want to see and be and learn from every single experience that is coming through me, in front of me, above me, you know, in all my reflections and my relations. Then I really think that the world is perfect as it is, because it's showing the picture and the scene and the character that every one of us needs to grow and to change. Then if there is not experience, there is no change in our inner life. Then I don't wish for peace, because many of us needs to go to the internal battle. As Kesetwa was saying before, all starts and ends with us, in me. So if I don't face my shadows, and this I learned from you, Meenakshi, how I'm gonna know that I see light? And if I don't face my battles and my monsters, I won't be able to find peace. Then my main intention is having no intention, just to get to the point of total surrender, knowing that everything is perfect the way it is, and that we are the perfect intelligence and the perfect balance, and that we are going to bloom when we are ready.
Thank you, Teresita. And just for a minute, I'd like all of us to just sense this beautiful world that Teresita has, this beautiful vision that you have described, in which we really see that this world is one in which everyone's blooming, blossoming, and we feel the gratitude of this beautiful world, which is perfect exactly as it is. As Tavita used to say, it's perfectly imperfectly perfect. And now I'm going to call Lilium. Are you ready to describe your intention?
Sure. Good morning to everyone. My intention to the world today is I'm gonna tap in a little bit of everything that you, maybe a little bit of what you said and a little bit of Teresina said it. Intentions like gratitude. I think when we enjoy a little bit more life, in contact with nature, we go out, we really appreciate what's around us. When we are with our family and we're happy, the moments we share together. And when we do this, when you really do this in our daily life, we automatically have gratitude because you're so happy and having a bliss there, and then you automatically you are grateful living every day. And I think my intention for the world is that people have time and attention to really enjoy the world, because when you do this, you actually change yourself. You change yourself already. And changing and learning how to appreciate what's around you, other people, all the creations of everybody, and in every little detail that you see around you. It's wonderful, and automatically change your vibration, change everything around you, change your life. Touching what Meenakshi was saying, when I think about Reiki, being in a channel for Reiki, I think I have the responsibility to first feel good, make sure that I'm having gratitude for my life, and make sure that I feel good with myself, that I'm happy in myself. And this way, I think I just transfer that energy and a more clear channel. And my intention for the world is that everybody can have time, because this is, this world that we live in. Everybody has so many things going on. And a lot of people don't have condition, and some other ones don't have time. We're all trying to, live the best life we can have. So my intention is that people could have a little more time and intention to really take the time to enjoy what's around us, to have gratitude, to spend time with family. And that's what this epidemic came in. I think that would be the bright side of it. To me, was that people they were obligated to have, not obligated, but in a position that they had to have, they could have a time to do all that. And so many people, instead of doing that, was afraid and what was going on, instead of taking the time to really, at least try to enjoy what's the time that you have in your hands or what's around you. So my intention for the world is that everybody that lives in this world be able to enjoy this beautiful, perfect or imperfect, perfect or perfect world that we live in. That's beautiful. And we all have potential for so much. But we caught up, we live in this world and we get caught up in so many different things. But my intention is to everybody just to try to, in this world, I'm not talking about us, I'm talking about every being in this world, have the possibility to really enjoy this life that is, for me, is a gift, and this world. That's it. That's my intention for today. Thank you.
That's beautiful. It's like a beautiful song. And I think we can spend just a little, all of us are with you as we think about time. This again, as we have learned from all the ceremonies and things that we've done, time really can expand in miraculous ways. And I'm just going to share what happened once when Tavita was visiting here. And we were in Coconut Grove and we had to go to pick up my daughter like 10 miles away in a school. In a usual way, we can, when there's absolutely no traffic and you can drive at your own pace, it would probably take maybe 15 minutes. But in the real world in which we were at that time, like 2 or 3 p.m., it would have taken us at least half an hour. And I saw the time only 15 minutes before. And at that time, as a mother, you wanted to be first in the line to pick up your child. It's like your child cannot even wait 1 minute for you. So I got very anxious and nervous, because we just had 15 minutes to do a 30-minute drive. And then the traffic jam. The traffic was not moving. And so I became more anxious, although I must have not shown it outwardly because we learn how not to. But Tavita, of course, sensed it and she said, Meenakshi, remember, we can expand time. And we just relaxed and started chatting and talking about this, that, and the other. And I was 1 minute before time. And it's real. I mean, the clock time really responds to whatever we are doing in our own internal body clock. And I'm sorry, I'm speaking a lot today, but I want to share that my great-grandmother, she taught me this in my childhood, that you have a clock, and she was so-called uneducated. She taught herself to be literate because she was married off at the age, great-grandmother, right? She was married off at the age of 12, which at that time was considered old maid. This is the life she led, but she is one of those amazing people who I'll talk about another time. A true elder. So she taught us when we were 5, 6 or whatever, that you have a clock inside your body. So if you want to wake up at a certain time the next morning, she said, just pinch your skin a little bit and say, I want to wake up at 6 o'clock. And from that time onwards, I don't pinch myself, but I never use the alarm clock and I'm never late for anything. So that's my journey with time. Thank you, Lilium, for throwing me there. Kissy Tua.
Well, let me start with gratitude. I'm an old drunk, celebrating 43 years sobriety. Gratitude is a way of life, and Alcoholics Anonymous. It starts early and it goes on and it goes on and it goes on. And it becomes habitual. And I got a very specific example of that that occurred recently because I have my new hearing aids. And I've not had hearing aids before. And I have some friends who know people who have hearing aids, and people who have them complain. They can hear everything. They hear this noise. They hear that noise. I can hear that. It's annoying. So they go on and on and on about all the things they don't like about hearing with hearing aids, because suddenly the world is much brighter and louder than it is. I kid my friends. I said, you know, I will be really even more grateful when you guys stop shouting, because of course they're talking in a normal voice and now I'm hearing them in a way I could not hear them before. And I'm saying, how can you not be grateful to hear all this? My cat meows differently than I thought she did. I didn't know that. No, I'm hearing things on television I haven't heard probably in 50 years. Saying, whoa, my goodness, what does a cat hear? If I'm hearing this now, what is he's hearing it? And it's like, I thought back to the first time I put on a pair of glasses, you know, and lawns had blades of grass. My God, I didn't know that. And trees had leaves, individual leaves. Do you believe that? I was like, whoa. And roofs had shingles. I thought they were just one big blur. Well, now sound is that way for me right now, because these are really new and it's an exciting thing, and I'm really grateful that I can hear all this stuff. And I can move my chair and I can hear the wheels rolling on the floor, and I can hear the slight need for oil when I rotate the chair, and that's very cool. So gratitude has been a part of my life for a very, very long time. And I can't imagine living without it. I really can't. And it's not something that just happens once in a while. It's just like an ongoing process. I had breakfast with my brother-in-law. My sister died recently, and we have established a family tradition of Sunday breakfast together, and the neighbors here, and he's become part of the family, and we're having breakfast. And it's like, how lucky can I be? You know, that attitude. On the other hand, I hear about this intention stuff, and I don't get it. I'm really undisciplined. Truly, I am undisciplined. When the net was early, before the World Wide Web, and we sent what we now call email, there used to be a tagline that I got a kick out of. It said, you need a laugh? Tell God your plans for the day. And I thought, yeah, that describes my life beautifully. You know, I can have all the intentions in the world, but my life works better for me when I'm not trying to work one of my plans, and I'm trying to work one of my Creator's plans, whatever that might be. And since I'm never privy to what those plans are, it's equivalent of going with the flow, listening to what's going inside, trusting my reactions to the world around me. So I think, you know, I don't get up at the same time every day. I don't go to bed at the same time every night. I don't eat the same time meals every day. I am just completely undisciplined. And I've never been particularly disciplined, aside from the time in the Marine Corps, and perhaps university. And I haven't got the slightest desire to set intentions for something to be different than the way they are right now. That just isn't in my consciousness. You know, I tease because I'm a techie. I spent 12 years in Silicon Valley, and before I moved on to more interesting work. And so I really like Tesla. I like SpaceX. I like the cars. But it's the technology that just, I see the future in that. But you know, I'm constantly teasing myself about having a Tesla in the driveway. And one of my neighbors bought one, and it was parked in our driveway. And I was teasing my wife about it. I said, and I got to drive it. Oh boy, hey, I'm sold. But I told my wife, he said, I'd have to have 2 Teslas. I said, I would have to have one for me to drive, and then I'd have to have one for a bevy of lovely women to help me in and out of the car, because it's really low and I'm older, and it's a little hard to get up and down from a car that low. Oh. And I'll probably never have a Tesla, and I'm okay with that. But it's fun to play with the fantasy, which I enjoy immensely. So I have trouble with this notion of intention. So I have the sense that when I start intending stuff, I'm really getting in the way of what ought to be going on. And I have a better sense, not of my intentions, but of my instincts. And they don't project ahead very far. They really don't. So I'm not trying to be a contrarian and spoil your program for the day. Gratitude, I'm in 100% with gratitude. I just ooze this stuff. Life is wonderful. Intentions, not so much. I think the part of that is the desire to be a clean bone, which is a very Native American concept. But it relates to something Tavita was saying, that you know, you just get out of the way and let spirit flow through you. And that's very much a Native American point of view of how you function, particularly with medicine, but with life as well. That's sufficient, I think, all our relations.
Thank you. You know that nothing anyone says can be against whatever.
I want to say something
Yes.
too.
Yes.
Well, I have to say 2 things, and both related with Kesetro. The first is that the last phrase he said now, I have enough. I heard him saying that once, and I turned it into my mantra with a lot of healings and a lot of support from different areas. First, to thank him. And another thing is that Tesla is like a toy related with what you already had experienced before. You took me many years ago, well, not many, but a couple of years ago, in the most amazing, revealing expedition that I can play in my mind. I can't paint because I don't have that skill developed, but the movie is clear in my mind, and you were the one driving that vehicle. I was the co-pilot, and you were showing me many different, I'm not gonna go in details, but a very deep philosophy of life and essence and materials, non-materials, and all that. That wasn't a dream, very clear, vivid dream. And I just want to say that because I was listening, and when you say that you always wanted to have a test, if you really want, you will have it, but you don't need it. You are above that Tesla thing. That for you is like a little truck for a 2-year-old baby, for what you have already managed.
Okay.
This is really funny you're talking about it, because my sister just bought a Tesla about 3 weeks ago. Well, it was delivered. She got it. She's had it for 2 weeks. And we got to see it last night. It's in her driveway. There's 3 different modes, and she started out with a low one, but then realized you get the second one because you pack in the front and pack in the back. You don't hear a motor start up. You hear a like this. And she did that because she expects to have that now for the rest of her life. And she got a couple upgrades. So she's like, she spent more than she got the middle. And all it has is the size of my monitor here on my laptop at the front dashboard. And then the back is behind it is all air conditioning. And so we're talking about technology. And my intention is, for myself and the world, is true appreciation, real compassion, expanding light, great prosperity, and sharing, open sharing of mind, body, and spirit for myself and everyone in a world that uses clear, clean technology for the planet and people. And the reason I've gone through the appreciation, the compassion, is because we appreciate outside, but we want to carry the love and wisdom inside with light, which expands it. And it's for body, mind, and spirit, so that the spirit outside, the spirit of the earth plane, our whole being sort of lights up with greater prosperity of health, of the wealth and sharing, and in the mind connecting into the unity consciousness. It's in alphabetical order because that way one can remember it better, for appreciation, compassion, light. And I had added light because light connects me to source and reminds me to think thoughts of light and stay on that consciousness. And I kept wondering why I was getting a splinter in my foot, which broke off before I got here when Andrew was taking it out. And then I got a splinter in my finger this morning, a tiny one. And I'm going, I know I haven't, my thoughts have to be so pure like they were in Singapore, because I connect to as I'm in the thought of prosperity and compassion and light for everyone and appreciating everything and connecting to source, you're open. I mean, one is flowing, one is open, one lets the 6th and 7th sense guide one instead of one's intellect. And then your heart becomes more open and the thoughts continue to remain light. The minute you have a thought, as Meenakshi said, your mind is so, it creates instantly. And the higher frequency that you are, which as we're becoming more filled with light and connecting, you can't afford to take, I mean, you're on the top of the mountain and you take one step, you're going to fall down and it's going to hurt. I mean, I've been there before. So I kind of know. Um, so I think the splinter's trying to remind me, you know, to keep, not splinter my thoughts, to keep in the flow. And remember the prosperity of the body. The body needs the green outside and the appreciation. It needs the good health, good wealth of prosperity, of sharing everything we get with others and then seeing it in others. So anyway, my short or long intention and why I have it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Tarika. You know, I like to remember a story of my children when they were small. I don't remember telling them that they should pray for what they want, but they may have learned it from a friend or a school or something. And one of my children asked me, if God knows everything, then why do we have to pray for anything? Why do we have to tell God what we want?
Yes.
And I loved that question. I love questions for which I have no answer. But my mind is such in this lifetime that I want all the answers. I want to know everything. I always think of myself as a person who's, I don't know, it's like a being that lives in the sea. It's a circle. And now, of course, they show that COVID is the same. So maybe I'm a COVID hoax. Has antenna everywhere, just wants to learn from everything, but wants to know everything. I want to know. So I told the child, I said, when you're saying what you want, you get to know what you want. Because whatever we may be, I'm sorry, I will tell all of us who's here. If we are in this world, we are not fully flowing. If I can see each of our bodies, we are not fully surrendered. It is as simple as that. I'm sorry. But you're all my guides and my teachers. But I do want to say, that's why I want to make it that real. From our hearts, wishes keep going. Doesn't matter whether we give them importance or not. But like a pulsar star, they keep going out into the universe constantly. And we don't even know what our wishes are. So when we say an intention, or if we say, oh God, please give me, we get to know what what are those wishes that our soul is sending out, the heart is sending out, because it is sending out. If I'm a human being and I see in front of me a child being injured, I'm sorry, but from my heart will go, I don't want that child injured. I can't help it, but I do live in a dualistic reality also. That's the mind. So I think this way. If we are co-creators and we are co-creating our life, and in my reality today, I see that everything I have wanted has come to be, and everything I have disliked has gone away from my life. I see it so clearly that I'm all the time swimming in gratitude. But I see it because I wanted to wake up to what those desires were. And then I ask myself, if we co-create our reality, how come I didn't decide to be, let's say, what the whole world wants, a Tesla, or lots of money, or whatever. Why did I want, oh, I should be a teacher, I want to be this? Why? You don't make a lot of money teaching or whatever. And so that's what I understood. I said, God, destiny, or whatever we call it, already has a plan for you. The whole plan is laid out. But when you have a desire, a wish, a prayer, or an intention, you get to know what that path is. These desires become like light on our path. And then we get to know, and actually that is when the full gratitude comes. Because when you go through the tough time, you realize exactly why you are going through it. And the tough part becomes less because of your awareness. I feel personally, I may be wrong here, but I truly believe that this is the time in which all of us have to wake up. And surrendering is actually for waking up, because the more we surrender, the more we become aware of what is reality, what is really going on. So I think all of us are just saying the same thing in slightly different ways, maybe in a slightly different consciousness. But this was my thought. So I jumped before I could say that, Tavita, what your intentions are. I think it's true. They are the intentions of everyone. Each of us, whatever the intentions we speak of, or the wishes we speak of, are really the wishes for this whole world. So thank you for sharing them also. Anyone wants to say anything? They are welcome to.
I think as you were talking, and it's come back to me again, because that intention is long, and I can do that intention maybe in the morning or night. But my awake intention, which I had yesterday, was love and appreciation of every person I meet, to uplift them, to make them feel good around me, to see the light in them. And through that, I am expressing a release and a total letting go of surrendering who I am. I'm just a tiny speck of sand or a speck of light. It never used to be me. In Singapore, there was no thought of me. It was always I, a channel of light. It wasn't the small I with the little dot on the head. It was always the channel between heaven and spirit, earth and spirit, or divine self, higher self. It wasn't what do I need. I was in the flow. And so I'm working on getting back to the flow. So my intention is the appreciation and love of each person. And how can I appreciate really deeply? I first appreciate myself, and then I let it go, and I surrender, and I connect to the light. So I love and appreciate everybody else. And when I see something, we're talking about appreciating the earth. When I see somebody, what can I appreciate out of that person? So my intention is love and appreciation. And I think I've been working on what it really boils down to, really simply. It's love, appreciation, and light. So my thoughts are always light thoughts. I don't think a specific thought, because I'm not, for someone else, I'm not, well, I can channel, I'm psychic and an empath, but I don't know necessarily. So I send a color like we've talked about before, or I see them in color, or I see them with an angel, or I see them in reality and I see the beauty in them. I look for the beauty, not the critique, unless somebody asks. And anyway, that's kind of my take on what I've been feeling and looking at recently. And that way, it creates so much more. As Meenakshi said, in each point of that, there's so much more light. And I seem to attract more of it to me when I'm in that state of the flow and the light and things like that. So thank you. Anybody else?
Lilium or Teresita, do you want to share anything else before we close? Kisitua, can I please request you to say either a prayer or whatever you would like to share to close the circle?
Sure. Why not? Course in Miracles says, you know, when somebody asks you to do a foolish thing, do it. And so, with a kind of lightheartedness, I accept your invitation to say a prayer. One of the things I really like about the Cree is that they don't like written prayers. They really don't. And there's some beautiful prayers that Indians have said that other people have written down that I collect. I like them. But there's a strong feeling that prayers need to come from the heart. And if they come from the heart, they're always going to be different. And how do I tell you, great mystery, how great my love and gratitude is for you? That you gift me with such wonderful people to chat with. That you gift us with such wonderful technology to contact one another with. That you give us the ability to smile at one another. And that smile travels in ways that I have no comprehension of and touches me and touches others. How do I tell you how deep the gratitude is for that? May all our relations be as fortunate as we are. And all our relations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, everyone, for being here and co-creating this beautiful space. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Meenakshi, and everybody else. Love
Thank
to you.
you. Can I say something real quick?
Yes.
Talking about appreciation and gratitude, I want to express my gratitude to every one of you here. I'm on this, and say that not being too long that I started to realize everything that I'm realizing today, learning. I love to learn. And to be with beings like yourselves and to be learning and listen to all you have to say and be able to be here is a pleasure. And I appreciate each one of you for all the insights and information and your heart and soul here on this moment. I do appreciate it, okay? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lillian. I appreciate you a lot also. Okay.